local team of environmental managers, engineers, and scientists ensure that the long-term management of the landfill is safe for our workers, customers, and the environment. To learn more, visit our website at www.broadhurstlandfill.com, or you can go to the website, click Visit Us, and sign up for a tour to see firsthand how we operate. We hope to see you soon.
The winter clearance event is going on now at Mike Bird's Ford in Blackshear. We've got to move remaining 2016 inventory, so we're selling it below invoice. Plus, up to $10,000 off 2017 Expeditions and 0% financing. Credit problems are no problem at Mike Birch. Our finance department is ready to put you in a new car. We've got a huge selection of pre-owned inventory with select vehicles qualifying for our lifetime powertrain warranty. Come see him at Mike Birch Ford or 24/7 at MikeBirchFordBlackshear.com.
The winter clearance event has started at Mike Birch Ford in Blackshear. Huge savings and top dollar for your trade. We're overstocked with 2016 inventory and selling below invoice. Plus $10,000 off 2017 Expeditions and 0% financing. Plus our free lifetime powertrain warranty on all new vehicles and our exclusive low price guarantee on tires. Stop the search. Call Mike Birch 912-449-4446 or MikeBirchFordBlackshear.com. 0% financing with approved credit. See dealer for details.
8:02 here at FM 105.5 WIFO. Time for the world-famous Butch and Bob Show, brought to you today by Mike Birch Ford in Blackshear, Jessup Premium Storage, and Republic Services. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Jonathan. We got a special guest. Got some guests in the green room right now. We got a special guest, the Brunswick Judicial Circuit DA Jackie Johnson in the studios. This is Crime Victims Memorial, or National Crime Victims' Rights Week is what it is. But they've got the Crime Victims Memorial Wall on display all this week at the Wayne County Courthouse. And Jackie, always a pleasure. Appreciate you coming in and being on the show.
Thank you, Bob. And I brought with me Sherry Gibbs, who's our director for Crime Victims' Rights and deals with victims in our office all year long. But this is a week where we highlight the victims that have lost their lives to crime throughout the circuit, as well as here in Wayne County, and also honor the survivors that have survived violent crime. We'll have a ceremony tomorrow, Tuesday, at 5 at the courthouse.
Right. I've had the privilege of being to several of those ceremonies. A very emotional ceremony. Again, a lot of the families show up. It means a lot to them. So tell us what all takes place at the ceremony for those that they've never been.
We try to highlight one of the cases that we've handled in the last year, and this year we're going to have Miss Willie Jovan. Many people remember her. She's a lady that went missing for about a week, was found in the river here. Her daughter Nitsa will be speaking, and we'll talk a little bit about her loss, and we'll remember all of the people and family members will be there on behalf of their loved ones that have lost their lives. It's an opportunity really for us in the criminal justice system, and as well as law enforcement officers, to kind of put a face with the cases that we deal with all year long, and it brings a little bit more meaning to what we do and why we do it.
It's a special ceremony, Sherry. You're going to head it up. Is that correct? Is that why you're here?
Well, basically, yes, sir. It'll be, like she said, 5 o'clock at the sheriff's office, the courtroom in the sheriff's office. And we'll start at 5 o'clock, and we'll have our usual ceremony of prayer and remembrance of the victims. And the guest speaker, Miss Nitsa, will be our guest speaker, as Miss Johnson said. And we usually give some kind of memorial, like a flower or something in honor of those who have lost their life as a result of violent crime, and we plan to also do that again this year.
Okay. Again, that takes place tomorrow at 5 o'clock, Courthouse C, and that's adjacent to the sheriff's office right there. If you go to the sheriff's office, take a right, you go right into the courtroom. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Jackie, again, we got you in here for a lot of reasons, a lot of questions, a lot of cases, a lot of murder trials just recently took place, and got more to come here in Wayne County, unfortunately. But I want to talk about the two that just recently took place, because one a conviction and one a hung jury. Again, the Blood Gang murder trial caused the death of 28-year-old Wendell Lee of Hinesville. Troy Simmons found guilty. Still two co-defendants still to be tried, Kendall Frazier and Dominic Brown. So where do we stand on that? Again, that was a very interesting case, very educational case as far as Blood Gang, the drug traffic being controlled by prisoners in prison with drones and cell phones. We talked about that when the case was going on. How does this take place? But it's a big obstacle that the DA's offices and law enforcement are dealing with at this point.
We are dealing, believe it or not, we are dealing with gang activity in Wayne County, and it's something that's probably just kind of come along the last 5 years. What we're seeing and what we're finding, as you know, we had a gang expert that came in and testified in the trial of Troy Simmons. And of course, we've got a second companion murder, the murder of Lori Holland, still pending out there in connection with this gang activity. But what we're seeing is a lot of these gangs are moving to smaller sized cities and communities because Atlanta or Jacksonville, for example, they have gang units and they're up to speed and they've gotten very aggressive. And so what these gangs have done is they've branched out a little bit and gotten into the smaller communities. And one of the things that is the common denominator with all these gangs is the drug trade. And where there is any type of demand for drugs, they will move in and they will begin trying to take over that supply. And there's connections, as you know, in the Simmons case, there were connections to prison. Some of these gang members continue to operate and call the shots from prison. And it's a level of violence that I don't think we're used to seeing in our community. And when you take the two murders, the one we just tried with respect to Wendell Lee, who lost his life, and the one that we still have pending with respect to Lori Holland, it's just something we haven't seen before.
So the Frazier and the Dominic Brown cases, those are still to come, right?
Those cases are still pending. The common denominator in both of those cases was the blood gangs and Troy Simmons. He's also charged, Troy Simmons, in a second murder, the Lori Holland murder, and we have two other co-defendants, Mr. Laurent and Mr. Vickers. Their cases are still pending, and I anticipate we probably will try Mr. Laurent next, but that would be up to the judges to schedule when the trial would take place. When you have more than one person involved in a murder case, in these cases you've got three co-defendants in each, you are potentially looking at three trials. So it makes it really difficult. You kind of have to separate them out lots of times, and sometimes you are depending on co-defendant testimony from some of the other people that were involved in the case. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want to compromise those ongoing trials, but we still have those pending.
But the common person asked the question, how do they do it from the prison? How do they get access to cell phones? I mean, that's the thing.
One of the largest problems we've got, and I think they're trying to deal with this some at the state level, is people sneaking in cell phones. Certainly they can pay off guards. Talk about drones. We've had problems with them flying contraband and cell phones over the fence and dropping them into the prison system. And you would think, well, why can't they just scramble the signal? Well, the federal, I think it's the Federal Communications, FCC, they won't allow them to do that. There has to be, so there's been some talk about trying to come up with some sort of solution, but it would necessarily involve some help from the federal government for us to get to the point where cell phones and iPads and things like that did not have the ability to get into the system and be of use. But we have had, believe it or not, we had the Hines case down in Brunswick. He was convicted, of course, and got life without parole for killing 8 people. He's opened up a Twitter account and has been tweeting from prison. Come to find out, it was on a state-provided tablet for educational purposes, and apparently they have Wi-Fi in the prison system, which is shocking. But when we got into it, that's actually what was going on from a convicted murderer sentenced to life in prison. So it happens. So if someone that's convicted of murder can do that, it's easy to see how people charged with lesser crimes can get access to the internet and to devices like that. Just
unbelievable. If you're just joining us, District Attorney Jackie Johnson in the studio with us. Again, the second murder trial which just took place, the Trantham murder, 41-year-old Robert Rogers remains behind bars, charged in shooting death. He took the witness stand, says he simply confessed because he was given the GBI agent, what he wanted to hear, And, of course, that ended in a hung jury. But in that case, one of the person that testified was Andy O'Quinn. Where's his case stand? Because he didn't really cooperate. The DA's office was expecting him to give testimony. He didn't really give the testimony they expected him to give. So where's that stand?
Well, because that case is still pending, I can't really go into specifics. We do intend that we will try that case again. When the case Bob is talking about, we had a trial. John Johnson tried that case, and jury came back deadlocked, could not reach a decision. As you know, it has to be a unanimous verdict. All 12 have to agree. And so we intend at some point we're going to try that case again. What we'll do is we'll wait for the transcript most likely and then prepare and go forward again. Unfortunately, when you've got cases where you've got multiple people involved in planning and committing and participating in any type of murder, the witnesses typically don't have clean hands, and so you sometimes have to call people as witnesses to testify about what happened. That necessarily I would rather call Bob Morgan, because he's an upstanding citizen, clean record, never done anything wrong. But when you get people for witnesses that were actually involved in a crime, you really don't have that option. So necessarily what we do is we try to take the evidence that they give us, or the testimony they give us, and corroborate it, match it up with other evidence, cell phone records, physical evidence at the scene of the crime, ballistics, things like that. And that's how we're able to put our cases together. So we have to rely on that. In putting cases before a jury. It's not necessarily something we choose, but it's the nature of the job.
I know one thing you've done since you became DA is try to push these cases through as quickly as possible. You don't like people just sitting around in prison. You made a conscientious effort to try to push the cases through and get some kind of resolution.
Well, that is, and that's been a joint effort with the judges in the circuit. I think we all recognize anybody charged with a crime is presumed innocent, and so you don't want them awaiting trial or sitting in jail if they don't have a bond any longer than they have to. For that, on that side of things, but from our side, you take for example the Willie Jovan's family. When they're waiting out there for this case to come to court, they're very involved. They're calling our office, and it's very difficult. I don't know that you ever move on from that type of suffering, that type of violent crime against a loved one, but it seems to help them get some sense of closure if they can go through the trial process and get some type of result. That helps them, and the longer that process takes, the more difficult it is for them.
We got a lot of other cases I'm interested in. We just had a chief jailer arrested and charged. We also still got the two ladies from the probate office charged with stealing money. Where do those cases stand at this time?
Both those cases,
I need to get you close to the microphone.
I'm sorry. The case with Mr. Jackson is still under investigation, so I can't really comment on that. In the other case you mentioned,
the two ladies from the probate office.
That case has been indicted, and it should be showing up on a calendar pretty quickly here, and we'll be ready to go forward on that case.
Another case I'm interested in, again, the grooms, of course, have already pled guilty. Again, they still have their restitution hearing coming up, where the school system wants their $17,000 that the state audit shows they took from the school system. So I want to ask you about the restitution again, because I checked on that. The grooms have pled guilty, and that part of their plea was to pay restitution. I checked last week. As of today, they haven't paid a dime. So the question I ask is, what happens if they don't pay the restitution? And people ask me that question all the time about restitution. It seems like the dirty word in the court system. Right. But people say restitution, but no one ever gets restitution, or a lot of people say they don't get it. So where do we stand on that? How do people get their restitution?
Believe it or not, these people that commit these crimes, you would think they had all this money to pay back the restitutions, but when it comes down to it, nobody knows where the money went. But in particular with the grooms case, both of them, as you were there, both of them admitted to guilt. Both of them pled, both Mr. and Ms. Grooms pled guilty to theft charges.
Right, convicted felons. But again, part of the plea agreement is they don't have to be sentenced till June, because they gave them that unsupervised probation if they paid back the restitution. But the way I understand it, if they don't pay back the restitution, they've got to come back to the state of Georgia and like any other criminal, go see their probation officer. Is that correct?
They have not been sentenced yet. So what's scheduled to take place in June, I believe June 23rd, is a sentencing for both of them. And at that point, part of the reason for the delay is for them to get their affairs together. I believe they're going to be leaving the state, and for them to make arrangements to pay restitution. And part of that agreement was for them to make some arrangements to hopefully come up with some of that restitution up front, because you are talking about the Wayne County school system and some, particularly in particular some individuals, and so we want some of that to be paid up front. So that was part of the agreement. Whether or not they can come to the table on June 23rd and that can take place, we don't know yet. But
if they don't, like I said, what happens again if they don't pay restitution? What happens then?
Well, at this point, it can affect the plea agreement, the agreement we've worked out with them that would not involve jail time, that would involve them serving probation, or once they are sentenced, if they don't pay restitution, restitution, assuming at some point they are sentenced on June 23rd, and some amount of restitution has to be paid back while they're on probation. That's a term of their probation. They can be brought back before the court if they don't pay the restitution, and we can ask to revoke them and send them to prison. So probation sounds minor, but in the scheme of things, we put a lot of cases on probation if they have no prior record, to give them an opportunity to do the right thing, pay restitution. We can't make them do it, but when they don't, it gives us a basis to bring them back before the judge and ask the judge to make them serve some amount of time in prison. And I can tell you a lot of times when we have sizable amounts of restitution, we are in that position of bringing them back before the court and asking the judge to do that.
All right, but again, going back to the restitution, you see it all the time. People get sentenced to jail and they're supposed to pay restitution. How do they do that when they're in prison? I mean, do people see restitution?
And that is a choice we have to make. If there's a victim
out there that doesn't get how do they seek the restitution?
That is a choice we have to make. You find a lot of times we do not send, if a charge carries 5 years in prison, we won't send someone to prison for 5 years. We'll give them some portion of time to serve, and then the balance on probation so that they can make restitution, because as a general rule, while they're in prison, they're not going to be paying restitution because they're not going to have any type of income coming in.
Right. Again, if you're joining us, Jackie Johnson in talking about the big event tomorrow. Again, that takes place tomorrow at 5 o'clock at the courthouse. Again, the Crime Victims Memorial ceremony will be held, and the Crime Victims Memorial wall will be on display at the courthouse. On that wall, Sherry, how many families are involved in that? Do you have any idea? I mean, how big of a wall is it?
Not off the top of my head. There we have.
And how far does it go back?
Panels.
You know how many years it covers?
Back to
Probably to the
70s. I want to say to the 70s.
We started
Yeah.
keeping up with that, and you would be amazed if you can, and you yourself, Bob, been involved in a lot of these cases. You'll recognize a lot of these victims.
Oh yeah, right.
And and it will bring back some memories about that case happening in this community, and it's very moving to the families.
Right. Like I said, if you've never been to the ceremony, I encourage you to go, because it is a very moving ceremony, and like I said, it is something that's important to the families. Again, because as you said, Jackie, they don't ever get over this. You know, you don't ever get over a loss of a loved one, especially involved in a vicious crime. But a lot of these people were, murdered, just like the Willie Joe Vaughn. You can't imagine what that family went through, searching for her all that time. She went missing first, and then they found the body submerged in the river, and went to that trial. It was a very sad trial to sit through and to see. But like I said, Nietzsche's going to speak. The other daughter's going to be the guest speaker tomorrow.
Yes, that's correct.
It would be good to see her, because like I said, we talked to her after the trial and got her thoughts. But again, one other case I want to ask you about, again, it seems like football coaches are always in trouble. You got the one in McIntosh that just happened, a hazing incident, but there was one in Camden. You just said locker room beat down, investigated by the Georgia police. I know that GBI was involved. Whatever happened in that case?
GBI was called in to investigate that case by the Kingsland Police Department. That happened, I believe, in 2014, 15. It's been a couple of years ago.
2015.
And that involved, I believe, a coach that ended up coming up here to Wayne County for a little while.
Right.
Once GBI investigated the case, they talked to several students, they talked to several teachers involved, and they determined that there was just not sufficient evidence for us to go forward with any criminal charges on any of the teachers. Some of the students were young and involved, and we worked out agreements where they would not have criminal records. They had to go and do community service and apologize and things of that nature. So there was some consequence for some of the students involved, but as for the teachers and the coaches, did not feel like there was enough to bring criminal charges. And that doesn't mean that somebody maybe shouldn't have done things a little bit differently. Maybe they made some bad choices. Maybe some things happened at the administrative level in the school to maybe, do things a little bit better, so something like that didn't happen together, or maybe reprimand some of the teachers that were involved there. But strictly from our standpoint, we're looking at it as whether or not there was any type of criminal intent for us to be able to bring charges. And so not only do you have to show that they knew or should have known, you have to show a little bit more than that there was actually some level of intent to violate the law there, and we just didn't feel like we had enough to go forward on that.
Okay, well, before we let you go, like I said, we got another guest in the green room. Again, tomorrow's event at the courthouse, courtroom. So you tell us about that, how important that is for the families, members, and again, for the community to attend. Again, it's a special event, very moving event, tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Is that correct?
That's correct. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, Bob, and this kind of affects this time of year, got prom season, a lot of things going on with the young people. We have seen some really horrible car crashes, and some of those involving criminal cases in the circuit in the last year or so, and just awful things, some of them involving young people losing their lives. And some of them, we've actually sent some young people to prison in the last year over vehicular homicides. Certainly, I think most people know that you can't, induce a substance into your body and operate a vehicle, whether it be pills or alcohol or anything else. But, these cell phones, I tell you, they are very dangerous. And I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. We see a lot of horrible things. Just because, people don't necessarily do anything criminal doesn't mean that there's not a lot of bad things that law enforcement has to investigate and we don't see going on. And just ask parents, have a conversation with your children and be mindful of that, because we have really seen some sad things happen in the last year with that.
Jackie, always a pleasure. Appreciate you coming. Like I said, I'd like to have you on the show more often. But again, I know you're a busy lady, but enjoy going to court. And like I said, it's a very educational process every time I go. But we'll try to do our best to keep everybody up to date with especially the criminal proceedings here in Wayne County, because I think it's very important for people to understand what's going on in the criminal justice system here in Wayne County.
Well, it's important for the community to know, because it affects everybody here. So thank you, Bob.
Okay, appreciate it very much. We've got more guests in the green. We'll be back more right after this time out.
The winter clearance event is going on now at Mike Bird's Ford in Blackshear. We've got to move remaining 2016 inventory, so we're selling it below invoice. Plus, up to $10,000 off 2017 Expeditions and 0% financing. Credit problems are no problem at Mike Birch. Our finance department is ready to put you in a new car. We've got a huge selection of pre-owned inventory with select vehicles qualifying for our lifetime powertrain warranty. Come see him at Mike Birch Ford or 24/7 at MikeBirchFordBlackshear.com.
The winter clearance event has started at Mike Birch Ford in Blackshear. Huge savings and top dollar for your trade. We're overstocked with 2016 inventory and selling below invoice. Plus $10,000 off 2017 Expeditions and 0% financing. Plus our free lifetime powertrain warranty on all new vehicles and our exclusive low price guarantee on tires. Stop the search. Call Mike Birch 912-449-4446 or MikeBirchFordBlackshear.com. 0% financing with approved credit. See dealer for details.
I'm that guy, the one who never finished high school, worked for a company that shut down. That guy who felt lost. Then I started free adult education classes, saw an opportunity. Forget minimum wage. How about maximum wage? And now, I'm that guy.
Text My Job to 70700 for free GED classes in Georgia.
The more you learn, the more you earn.
Stop creditor harassment today. Stop the worry of a pending repossession, garnishment, or foreclosure. Contact the Bankruptcy Group, Attorney R. Flake Cabinets, for an experienced assessment of your financial situation. They have locations in Brunswick, Hazelhurst, and now Jessup. They are a debt relief agency. They help people file for bankruptcy relief. Contact legal assistant Tanya Blanton at 912-375-5620. 375-5620 to set up your free consultation. Let the Bankruptcy Group do the worrying for you. Now serving Jessup.
8:24 here at the Big Dog WIF, a world-famous Butch and Bob Show brought to you by Republic Services, Jessup Premium Storage, and Mike Birch Ford. More guests, Bob.
More guests. Another good friend of mine, Mr. Mickey Tomlin in House of Worship. Mickey, always good to see you. Appreciate you coming in.
Well, appreciate y'all letting us, Bob.
No problem. You got a
it's
special
always exciting to come into Butch and Bob Show, man. World renowned. So.
Yeah, world famous. Good to see you. Always see you at the ball game. So big supporter of Wayne County athletics. So it's
looking
always
forward
good
to
see
tonight.
So that'll be a big game. But
Hope I can slip over there.
But you brought a special guest and special program coming up.
Yeah, we do.
This
weekend, is Easter weekend, and y'all got a big thing going on from 11 to 2. We've got one starting at 2, going to 4. So we're just going to fill them up Saturday with the Easter egg hunt and games and all of that stuff. And let me introduce Matt Ron. He's our associate pastor and director of ministries now. He and his wife are with us. Matter of fact, they're my nephew and niece. So I'm excited about that, doing a great job. But I'm going to kind of turn that part of it over to Matt, let him talk about it, tell us what's going on Saturday, and we're just going to have a big day all the way around.
Okay.
Bob, again, thanks so much, man, for having us here this morning. First of all, I just want to say good morning, Wayne County. So great to to be a part of this community. We're excited about what God is doing here in Wayne County. So I just want to kind of give you a rundown of what we got going on this weekend. April the 15th, which is this Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m., we are having a Easter egg hunt there at House of Worship. We'd love for you to come. One big thing that we know is that we're not in competition with anyone. We just want to have options for the community to come out to be able to do whatever time frame works for them, for their family. We know people work. We know that there's a lot of other events. And so what we want to do is just have a different time that people can come and be a part of whatever the community is offering. And so that 2 to 4 p.m., we're going to have inflatables. We're going to have age-appropriate Easter egg hunts. We're going to have food, games, prizes. Got a couple big prizes that we're excited about giving away. And so we're just excited about this weekend coming up. And then again, Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m., House of Worship for our Easter celebration. Got a program that we're doing there. We've got some worship that's going to take place. Got about a 10 or 15-minute production that's going to take place. And then it's going to set the atmosphere and set the tone for our pastor to come up and, just talk about our risen Savior.
It's just a great week, Holy Week again. Kicked off this Sunday with Palm Sunday, and now all kinds of events taking place all throughout the community this
week long.
Right, all week long, right.
And also want to mention, too, that Sunday morning we're having a sunrise service right there at the church. We've been doing that ever since I've been there. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't have a sunrise service, want to drop in, it starts at 7 o'clock Sunday morning. So we got Saturday, Sunday morning, and then our Sunday service at 10:30.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that when I go by there, the hurricane still tilted the sign. Any chance you get the sign?
We're thinking about not changing it because it's getting more advertisement with that broke sign. But actually, the sign's supposed to be here this week. We're looking for it. They've been building it. We got a digital sign coming, so we're excited about that. But that has brought a lot of attention.
There you go. Again, Mickey Tomlin, House of Worship, and again, Easter week, and again, you're having an Easter rise service Sunday at 7:30. You said
7 p.m.
and then
a.m. I mean
the normal service is what time?
10:30.
And then of course you said Saturday the special event Easter egg hunt
2 to 4 p.m.
2 to 4. So you can go from our Easter egg hunt at Unity Church of God right over to your.
There you go.
There you go. So
just send them on.
Sounds like a great day Saturday.
I think it will be.
Anything else going on that you want to talk about?
Well, I do want to mention. I know this is a long way off, but I do want to mention the last Sunday in August will be 25 years that I've been at House of Worship and Ministries, and we want everybody to come that day, Bob. Invite you and Jonathan, Butch, all of you guys. We'll feed you good that day.
25th anniversary. That's
25 years.
25 years. Long time.
Yes, sir.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. Again, look forward to the big event.
Thank you, Bob.
Always good to see you, Mickey.
Thank you, Bob.
Again, that's going to do it for the Butch and Bob Show here on a Monday. Again, thank you, Jonathan. Have a good day.
At Broadhurst Landfill, keeping our communities safe is the most important thing we do. Our local team of environmental managers, engineers, and scientists ensure that the long-term management of the landfill is safe for our workers, customers, and the environment. To learn more, visit our website at www.broadhurstlandfill.com, or you can go to the website, click Visit Us, and sign up for a tour to see firsthand how we operate. We hope to see you soon.
Jessup Premium Storage, 1455 South 1st Street is Jessup's best place to store your valuables. Whether it's furniture between moves or just a place for the overload, call Jessup Premium Storage at 530-8003. That's 530-8003.